You probably came in more advanced than most people with that experience at Microsoft. So what did going to college really do for you after that experience at Microsoft and being self-taught?
Since I took like this kind of non-traditional path for most of my years, I think the biggest difference between me and others was just like this mindset of, hey, I know now like a little bit like about the real world. My learning was a lot of really focused and driven towards that. That's one of the main reasons why I wanted to get some more experience before jumping right into school. It's because I wanted some kind of like direction to my learning, right? So just learning in general. And so I think that really helped me understand, okay, I've been working for a company and said, what are the gaps that I don't have? What are the gaps in my knowledge? I'm not like by any means complete. I don't think people are ever fully complete in their education. Right. Some of those things were like some of the more theoretical aspects of computer science and math, right? So when you're self-taught, I think you're just trying to get your program to compile, get it to work and run. College, I took as an opportunity because it's like, hey, here's like a kind of a dedicated block of time that I wanted to learn some of the more fundamental theories about how the computer works and what are the components and the hardware inside the computer do. How do you build an operating system? How do you build a compiler? And study like some math, right? It's hard to study math on the job, but learn things like linear algebra and differential equations. You really need like dedicated chunks of time to learn some of these topics.
How did, because you speak about theory, it's one of those things that as a boot camp, when you're speaking in contrast to like traditional education, you start thinking about, well, college is more theory. And then with boot camps, it's much more like we get into the point, we're making you job ready on day one. How has learning the theory behind computer science helped you in your career?
Depends on like what your goal is and kind of like what time horizon you're trying to optimize for. Something like a boot camp or the self-taught path is the best way to get from point A to point B. If point B is like getting into a tech job as soon as you can. And you really only need like, I would say like a minimal amount of theory, maybe the amount that I could probably teach you in an hour or two, help you in that first year 1 to year 4 in your job. Basic concepts about how the computer works, what are the parts of the operating system, the applications, the hardware, the network. It's really when you start to get to like the more advanced levels of programming where you're really trying to optimize and squeeze out a lot of performance out of the computer. An analogy I like to use before is the difference between driving a commuter car versus driving an F1 car. And it's the difference between driving the car and working on the engine. To just get a job as a software developer, you're just driving the car. You're just getting from point A to point B to solve whatever business problem using code. Once you're starting to push the edge where, okay, it's about crunching big data or you're trying to lower the latencies and really you're operating at the edge of that machine. That's where you need to understand at a low level, like how that machine works so that you can change things that maybe even at the operating system level or at the level of memory and registers and the SSD. Yeah. You don't need that much theory to get started, but having that theoretical framework will maybe help you later on.
Kind of based on where you're trying to go with your career. I'm glad you pointed that out because I think that analogy is really strong because I think it's important for us, for the sake of people that are trying to change their career, for them to truly understand like what they're giving up by going to a boot camp versus college and how theory can be applied. It really needs to be in the context of like what you actually want to do with your
career. Yeah. You don't need to be a mechanic to drive a car.